Welcome back in our idle game tutorial series. In this episode, we will make a navigator that will help our basic user interface to be fully functional. There are several ways to make navigators in Godot. The very simplest way is to use the tab container node and the tabs with because here the navigator that we have is basically just tabs, right? We have different links and each link will bring a different view. But the thing is, we have created a custom interface and we can't just throw the tab container node on top of it and have it work like this. So instead, we will use a custom script that we will make to do this. With custom scripts, there are two ways to approach the navigation. The first way is to have the parent node, which here will be user interface, sort of, to manage the views. So user interface will have a direct reference to each and every view, and it will control which one should show, which one should hide, etc., based on the inputs which come from the buttons. Another way to do that is to use signals and have each and every node managing itself. So what this would look like is you will have user interface, but instead of controlling the children, user interface will just emit signals saying, okay, this is the command. We want to show the view generator prototype. And then all the children which are connected to the user interface will receive the signal and react accordingly. This is the approach that we will be using in this episode. So we will begin by creating a script for user interface because that will be the main script where all the signals will be emitted and generated, etc. So let's create a new class user interface. All right. And the first thing we will need is to have a list of all the views that we will have. Okay. A quick way to name each view so that the user interface script can say, all right, I want the first view to show, and we need a reference for this. So we will use a new variable type, sort of. It's not really a variable, it's more a type declaration, and we will use an enum to declare the names of the views that we will use, right? So here we will name the views, but what views, right? So we already have prototype generator, and let's just add prototype clicker as well. So let's check what we have. So here, they are overlapping, so we're just gonna hide prototype clicker, right, at the moment. And the navigator will tell, okay, you hide, you show, you hide, right? So we have prototype generator and prototype clicker views. So we're just gonna create two values, generator and prototype clicker, like this. So now we have created the list of views that will exist in the game. Now we need a signal. We need a signal that will be emitted throughout the game. And the signal will say, we're requesting navigation toward this view. So let's declare a new signal, which will be named navigation requested. right? So from this point, we can go into user interface and node and see that this navigation requested exists there, okay? But it's not finished yet because this signal will require to specify which view has to be shown, right? So we will give an argument to the signal, which is a view of the type views. Views being the enum here. So we will have a view which will be either prototype generator or prototype clicker from views. All right. Now we actually need those two views here to be aware of what view they are, or which view they are. So we will have to update their scripts to actually add a new variable, which will be view of type user interface dot views. Is it? I think it is. Let's check very quickly. In the inspector here, I picked this, and yes, I have the view here and a little scroll down selector, which allow me to choose, do you want to be prototype generator or prototype clicker, right? So you're going to be prototype generator. I'm going to document this or I will forget. View reference. That's not the it's ideal, but that will do. And let's just do the same for our prototype clicker. So we're going to export a variable view of user interface dot views. Right, it's going to be a view reference, right? And we can assign it to prototype clicker. Okay. So now both children know what view they are. So it's great. And the user interface here is able to send a signal to all, at the moment to nothing, right? It's just sending the signal in the air. Well, it's declared, it's not emitted, but let's create a button for prototype clicker and we will connect the signal emission. Okay, so let's rename this prototype generator and let's duplicate, name it prototype clicker. All right, and change the text to prototype clicker. All right, so we have two buttons which need to be able to ask user interface here, I've been clicked, please request the navigation. So we're just going to use the connect signal to user interface like this. Actually, it's not ideal. Let's just rename this. Well, let's disconnect this and rename our prototype generator link. It's going to be a little bit clearer. So let's connect again. Right. The method is a little bit clearer this way. So we will have 1 and 2. Like this. So when a button is clicked, what we want to do is to emit the signal that navigation has been requested. Okay? So we just call the signal and use the emit function from the signal with the arguments that we want to add, which has to be a view here. So here it's clicker, so it's going to be prototype clicker. And just to make the order better, I will have it at the bottom. I'm going to copy this instruction, paste, and just change this to generator. All right. So now, whenever we will click the links, this will emit the user interface signal here and say, I'm requesting navigation toward this view. So we actually need the views in here to be able to cache the signal and say, hey, here is what I should do with that information. So eventually we can just maybe, use this to connect the signal manually. But the problem is that we have an argument, and if we go into the connect signal in there and look at the arguments, well, it doesn't actually work that much. We don't find the user interface view, which we have. So instead, we will just use the script to connect the signal and reference the user argument, the argument view. Yeah. So let's start with the clicker, right? Because it's a little bit shorter, so it's more readable. So we're going to create a new function, which is going to be on navigation requests. So it's going to be a void function. We're going to pass. And this is going to take an argument, which is going to be a view argument. But here we already have a view. So instead we will name it requested view, typed user interface views, right? And we just want to check one thing. If requested view is equal to view, then we want to change the visibility of this entire node here to true. Otherwise, we want to change the visibility to false. Okay? So that's the method that we will be using to watch the signal and react to it. And there's actually nothing in here that is, I want to say, unique to this script, right? So I can just copy this function, go into prototype generator, and duplicate it in here. It will work exactly the same because they have a different view value. All right. Now, all we need to do is to connect those two guys to a user interface in here. So there are plenty ways to do so. And we will actually use, we can use the export variable again. And this will require us to manually select the user interface in there. Or we can use a singleton method to have a singleton reference for user interface. Since we haven't done any singleton yet, I think we will just do the export variable thing. So let's just add export variable user interface of type user interface like this. which would be reference to the user interface. Okay. And now we can go in the inspector. There we go. Is it in the generator? Yep. And we can choose the user interface control node in there. So I'm just gonna copy this and add it to this script as well. There we go. And prototype clicker, we also have a reference to user interface. All right. So now we have the reference to the script. So we can access the signal in here, right? Because we have access to the class and more specifically to the instance of this class. So we can access this signal. So what we're going to do is on the ready function here is we will connect the signal to our method on navigation request. So I will use the user interface reference, look for the signal, and connect the signal to the method on navigation request. I gotta get rid of those parentheses, right? Now it's working. I double check that I have an argument in there, right? Because the signal is emitting an argument. So it is crucial that the method receiving the signal has an argument as well, right? So I think we were in this one. No, we were in generator. So we have generator here. We are connecting the signal. I'm just gonna copy this instruction. And there we go. We didn't document this, so let's do it right now. On navigation request. Watch for navigation requests, and react accordingly, right? So on the other one, I should be able to add the same signal connection, and I will just copy this documentation to add on top of this method. All right, there we go. Well, now we need to document this little script here. So this is going to be the main class controlling 2L, 1L, controlling, and that's one, controlling the user interface. This enum is the list of views. This signal is going to be emitted. No, I don't know. Emitted when something requested navigation. Includes the view target. Not ideal, but that will do. Here it is triggered when the prototype generator link is clicked, and triggered when the prototype picker link is clicked. All right. There is one last thing that we can do eventually, is to define which view should be shown at the game launch. Okay, so we can decide this by using the toggle visibility. But as we are debugging, we might be, changing this value to show this view instead, etc., etc. So what we can do, just to be sure that every time we start the game, we have the generator view opened, we can just double check the visible property in the ready function, right? To make sure that here visible will be equal to true in generator, and it will be equal to false in clicker, right? So we should be able now to start our project. And here we are on generator prototype. We can start it as usual, but also we can change the view and have this clicker generator here and go back to this generator, which is creating stardust every second. And even if I go away and wait, I don't know, a few seconds, if I come back, the generator will have created stardust while I'm gone, because it is still existing, right? We can check in the remote here, and wow, it's gonna be long, but oh no, actually it's not gonna be so long. So as we can see here in the remote viewing of our game, right now we have the prototype generator being hidden, but still working, still processing, right? So that's it for this episode. This is how we create views, how we navigate to views by using signals. And yeah, we can add as many views as we wish. All we have to do is to add the views in the Enum here, and then create the new views and have them react to the signals accordingly. Obviously, there is a way to sort of make all this easier by creating a new class specifically designed for views, right? To make sure that all views have the same behavior. But this will go in a refactoring episode later on, probably before we begin making upgrades and stuff. I don't know. Um, but anyway, thank you for watching this episode. I hope you liked it, and I will see you in the next one.